Hey guys, Urban Combat Survivor here. I've talked a few times about doing safe zones videos, and I know I've mentioned safe zones a bunch of times in comments and videos and stuff that I've done. So it's taken me a little while to organize my thoughts in a way that I can present them to someone else, because I've come to this thinking over a long period of time, and the information comes from such a divergence of sources that that it would be pretty impossible for me to completely lay down the pathway that I took in my thinking process to get to where I'm at. There are a lot of videos out there, a lot of channels out there that talk about various aspects of things, and what I try to do is I try to think in multiple tracks. So while there are some great channels that have great military information out there, some of which I recently discovered, Hibernia's Son has a great channel for tactical thinking. Lock and Load, Mr. Lock and Load has a great one. Landshark 22 has a great one. These guys have military experience, and they can convey to you military tactical thinking far better than I ever could. There are also those who have more community-based defense thinking, but they seem to be separate. Like Yankee Prepper, he doesn't talk over much about it, but I get the impression from his videos that his plan is really going to be a community thing. So what I try to do is I try to think along the lines of both, because I believe the two are going to be necessary cross support for each other. So I think basically there are two aspects of why is a safe zone necessary. Those two aspects are security and community. First, I'm going to talk about why a safe zone is necessary rather than just a safe house. If you pick a building, a structure, home, whatever it is that you're going to defend primarily in the beginning of a breakdown of the rule of law, what you're doing is, one, you're limiting your security greatly to an area that you have the wherewithal to secure. At some point, that small area that you can establish from that building is going to be inadequate. Once gangs start organizing, once criminal elements start organizing, once just armed thugs start working together in groups, the limitations that you're going to be placing on yourself, if all you have is a core structure and line of sight from that core structure, I think will wind up being fatal for you. So that's part of the reason that I think a safe zone is necessary. Another reason I think a safe zone is necessary is sanitary, health-wise. If again you're restricting yourself to the area that you can see line of sight, any disease vectors out there are not going to respect your boundaries of line of sight. It's not going to happen. Parasites, vermin, water, these things are going to carry disease, and it's not going to stop just because of your line of sight. You're not going to be able to fight off rats or mice with your rifle. You're not going to be able to fight off mosquitoes with your rifle. You're not going to be able to fight off water running down streets with your shotgun. So sanitation is going to be necessary on a larger scale than just a little area that you can see from your front window. There are going to be waste problems. There are going to be bodies that need to be taken care of. You can't just leave dead people in the street without running the real risk of disease. So That's another reason to extend your core safe zone. Another reason is community. I don't care how prepared you are. I don't care how diverse your skill set is. You do not know everything you're going to need to know for sustained survival. You don't. If you limit yourself to only those people that are in your core building, you're limiting your knowledge base as well. So while it's a good thing if you're talking to other people, it's a good thing to establish who is responsible for what areas of knowledge, who's responsible for growing and raising food, who's responsible for security, who is responsible for food maintenance and structural maintenance, that kind of thing. Who is going to be responsible for each one of these different things? But at some point, and it's not going to take too very long, if there's a real deep breakdown, it's not going to take too very long for it to wind up being that you just don't know enough. You don't have enough put up. No one is going to know enough and have enough put up. I've seen a couple of people say flat out that if there is a real, true, deep breakdown, then no preparation is going to help you. I completely disagree with this. What I think is we're going to need to work with other people that have other skills. In the long run, you're going to establish a safe zone. You're going to need to, in my opinion, establish a safe zone for such a huge range that there's no way that I'm going to be able to go over all of the different positives that are involved in this. So what I've done is I've decided to bring it down to what I said already: security and community. Security, the simple, basic advantages in the security are this. If you can extend your safe zone beyond your personal line of sight, you are then extending the amount of time that you have if ever there is an organized force that's moving against your core safe zone. If you organize a group of people that can stand out beyond your line of sight, and you can establish a communication system. There's a million videos on YouTube, for instance, about how to make air horns out of a Tylenol bottle, a piece of a balloon, and a Bic pen. And that's damn loud. So, if you can set up communication lines with people that are further out than you can see, you've now extended your safe zone. You've now extended the amount of time, the amount of warning. If the organized people in your community choose to participate in what you're doing here, what they can do is they can start concentrating their goods and their valuables, their safety items, their necessary items. They can start concentrating these closer to the core safe zone for security purposes. Then if ever anything happens, let's say you can extend your safe zone beyond your line of sight by 4 lines of sight, meaning the average person, depending on how hilly and how well organized the streets are in your area, figure you can see, let's say, 2 blocks. It's an arbitrary number, but that's what we're going to go with just for an example. Let's say you can see 2 blocks, and you can extend that 4 times. What that 4 things is going to give you is 2 blocks for each one. So now you've added 8 blocks of line of sight beyond your own personal line of sight. Now, if you concentrate your safety and security on your core safe zone, and an organized group does move against you, be they gang or just thugs that have gotten together and run rampant, you can respond to that threat, and you can have the time to organize quickly a response against that threat. People are going to start migrating to safe areas like this, and that's fine. It's normal. What you need to do is assess all the people that are trying to come in, their skill sets, and put them to work. You may not have the food to feed everybody. You need to establish that very quickly. I can't feed you. I didn't put food away for you. I'm sorry. But what I can do is offer you a safe place from which we can, for instance, organize reconnaissance groups to go out and see if there's anything left in that supermarket down the road. Is there anything left in that store over here? Is there anything left here or there that's edible? And start gathering these things in until you can establish enough grown and raised food that you can then start bartering out to others inside your safe zone, inside your community, who have helped extend your security. Further, you can start setting up a marketplace. People outside who have things that they might be willing to trade. Let's say somebody came across a whole tractor trailer load of Spam. They don't want to keep all that Spam, but damn, they need a blanket. They're cold. And buildings, there's going to be burned out shells all over the place. Finding things like blankets are very quickly going to become a problem. So what if they want to come trade? You can establish a market, a basic marketplace. Not in your core safe zone, but within your safe zone that you can oversee. People are going to move to that. People are going to flock to that. And it's a natural response. It's a natural part of the human psyche to move towards perceived safety. So security and community, the two things are overlapping. I mean, originally, animals started moving into packs because numbers offered security. Humans started forming communities because numbers offered security. So that's the security aspect. That's for the community aspect. It really comes down to what kind of person are you? What are your morals? Are you going to choose to just sit back? And even if you could, even if it was viable for you to sit and just defend your line of sight area, are you the type of person whose honor would allow you to just let what's going on out there continue going on if it's a breakdown? Think about the LA riots in '92. Could you let that go on? If you were armed and could have stopped those animals from dragging people out of cars and trucks, would you have been able to just stand back and let it happen? After you've already established a core safe zone, I know I can't. If you can, I'm not going to judge you for that, but I can't. Another aspect of the community is it's going to be a two-way beneficiary situation. They're going to benefit from a safe zone that you are establishing, and you are going to benefit from the extension of your safe zone. And more eyes, more hands, more backs. Everybody is going to need to be involved in trying to rebuild things. And this also goes back to my other video, that the rule of law still counts. I'm an American. I'm a U.S. citizen. And the Constitution matters. Law matters. Without the rule of law, we are Liberia. We're northern Mexico. We're animals. Do you want to live in that kind of situation? I won't even call it a society. Do you want to live in that kind of situation? I won't. Not if it's within my power to at least establish a small safe zone in my area. And even people who aren't planning this, I think eventually it's just going to have to happen. People are going to start setting up safe zones, safe communities. Well, now, if you pick one in your part of your populated area, and someone picks one a mile away, someone sets one up there, and someone sets one up half a mile in another direction from you, what you can eventually start doing is communicating, because now remember, you're going to be sending out patrols to keep things safe. You can start communicating and maybe start coordinating on bringing the rule of law to the areas between your safe zones. Safe Zones 101. I hope I was able to be clear in my explanation here. Just something to think about. Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.